The Chicago Bulls lose the game, plus potentially lose Kobe White and Patrick Williams, which we'll talk a little bit about more. The Bulls are also now heading into the All-Star break on a 4-game losing streak. We're going to talk about all and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bulls Central, hosted by Haize, your number one spot for all things Chicago Bulls.
What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. I'm the host there, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and get into this content today, y'all. And yeah, the Chicago Bulls still suck, y'all. There was more flashes, definitely a lot more fight and energy in today's game. They end up losing 128-110. But this was a team that competed a lot better in this game, for sure. You got 11 points from Modest Bucelis in his 26 minutes. Shout out to him. Nikola Vucevic gets back more aligned to what we're used to seeing from Vuce. 22 points, 13 rebounds, 5 assists in this game. He did have 4 turnovers, but him and Jalen Duren did battle today. Did they last 2 nights, really? But Nikola Vucevic fared much better tonight than he did last night. Got 23 points from Ayo Dosunmu, who led the Bulls with energy today. Also led them in points. He played really well tonight. Ayo Dosunmu on both sides of the court today gave tons of effort that the Chicago Bulls need. He finishes with 23 points, 6 assists, 2 steals, 3 rebounds in this game. He's 9 of 16 from the field. Josh Giddey has a solid score night, 4 of 8, right? Really efficient for him. 3 of 4 from 3-point range for sure as well. He also got to the free throw line 7 times and hit 5 of those. So shout out to Josh Giddey. Didn't have the rebound or assist numbers we're used to seeing at just 2 rebounds, 3 assists, but he did have 1 steal, 2 blocks in this game, 3 turnovers as well. Kobe White, 35 minutes played, 2 of 14 from the field with 7 points in this game, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. You get 11 points from Jalen Smith, 15 points from Tre Jones off the bench. And Tre Jones is probably who impressed me the most today because you got to see why, right? And I think that may have changed now with Lonzo Ball signing an extension here. But if Lonzo was not going to be here, you could see Tre Jones being that point guard off the bench. It does some of the same things that Lonzo does. He was very, very active on the defensive side of the ball today. He also had 2 steals, but more than just the steals, because steals don't necessarily equal good defense. His on-ball defense and off-ball defense were really, really consistent today from Tre Jones. And he went from a player that I had some questions on that, depending on if the Bulls can break up some of the guard depth that we have here, I wouldn't mind Tre Jones staying on this team. He played really, really well today. I was really impressed with him in his minutes. Kevin Huerter, the exact opposite. Please get him off my team. There's no reason anymore where Kevin Huerter should be playing above Julian Phillips or even Dalen Terry in this point. I know he theoretically is a floor spacer, but he is absolute cheeks. Now, in this game as well, we did lose Patrick Williams in this game. He goes down with the knee injury, does not return. He was frustrated. He threw a towel on the sideline. Now, he was able to leave off with his own power, but it didn't seem like a contact injury. So that makes me a little concerned about it. Now, it could end up being just a sprain. We're going into the All-Star break, so we don't play again for another week. So if it isn't anything serious, he's going to have plenty of time to rest it up. But I won't lie and say I'm not concerned about what that injury is going to end up being for Patrick Williams. A little bit concerning there. But, you know, it is what it is when it comes down to it. But this team, again, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. Like, this is what it comes down to with the Chicago Bulls team, man. We are a bad basketball team. We don't have a lot of really good depth. And, you know, this is a team that's going to struggle over the remaining games of the season. There's just no way around that, right? The Bulls are at 22 wins right now. Just to get back to the win number that they had last year, they would have to win 17 games. And 17 games out of what, 27, 26 games left on the schedule? It's not happening, right? So the Bulls are more than likely going to have another year of their record getting worse year over year. Now, what does that mean for the front office? I don't know, because it's the front office. You can't trust that they're going to get the right message out of anything, right? But Yeah, man, this is the season that we have. This is the season that we have now with this team. And yeah, this is a struggle. This is a struggle. We go into the All-Star break, though. At least we don't have to see this Bulls team play again for a week. We play next Thursday is the next time that we play. But other than that, we get a week off of basketball. And we come back and we go right back to it, right? I think our first game back is against the Knicks. Yeah, we play against the Knicks next Thursday, then Phoenix, then Philly, then the Clippers, then the Toronto, then Indiana, then Cleveland, then Orlando, then Miami, then Indiana. Listen, outside of Philly and Toronto, all those teams are playoff teams or play-in teams. Every single one of those. So when we come back between the beginning of when we come back February 20th until March 10th, the Bulls play all playoff teams, play-in teams, other than 2 games. So 8 out of 10 games are against playoff teams. Ah, man, it's listen. We knew what it was, right? We knew what it was. This is going to be a very, very difficult rest of the season for the Chicago Bulls. I think they also have like the 10th toughest schedule as far as strength of schedule when you look at it as well. Let me make sure I'm not talking out the side of my neck on that one. So no, they have the 16th toughest schedule remaining in the NBA. So hey, this is what we got, man. This is what we got, bro. These are the types of games to expect without a Levine. We can't choose a direction then get mad about it. Talking about fan base as a whole, yeah. But here's the thing: you can still, when you look at a team playing, they don't have, like last night, not tonight. Last night was so upsetting because of lack of effort. You never, I don't care who you have out there, you don't expect the team to completely give up after a quarter. Now tonight, the Bulls lost, but they did compete, right? So this is the type of loss that you're talking about that you can expect. That you can, like, it just is what it is, man. Kobe chipping paint off the Ryan, bro. Yeah, I would trade him in the offseason. No future with the Bulls. Doesn't fit in this team, bro. All he does is 2 for 15. Kobe is so bad and Herter is dog wet. Listen, we're not going to act like Kobe White didn't have 5 straight games before these two of playing excellent. He had 5 straight games of playing really good. To say that all he does is 2 for 15, that's wrong. Also, to say he doesn't fit this team has nothing to fit. Right now, we can't say what this team is going to be because we have no identity. We have no play style. We're not built around any player. So that's also an exaggeration to say that Kobe don't fit. Again, and you got to think about this as well. If Kobe keeps finishing the season playing this bad, there's not going to be any value out there for him. So you're not going to get anything, right? So you got to look at that one. The redheaded hoe has to warm the end of the bench for the rest of the season. The redheaded hoe is crazy. That's crazy. You have to remember something, Haize. Logical Bulls fans wanted Trey Jones in the draft over Marco. I don't even remember where was Trey Jones drafted around Marco? And no, you can't say that Logical Bulls fans, most of y'all weren't talking about that. No, I'm not going to go into that one. I was there. Not a lot of people were talking about Trey Jones. Billy has to get fired, bro. I'm so dead ass. I mean, listen. Unfortunately, the people in power don't necessarily agree with that, my brother. So, Fultz to Sacramento. Yeah, I saw that. Why? This is Bulls channel. The first round pick, Adrian. What? Herter, I'll take a large quarter pounder meal, Coke Zero, and please fill the fries properly. Thank you. We'll pull up to the next window. That is hilarious, man. That's hilarious. In your opinion, who has the most construction roster in the NBA? Construction roster? What do you mean by that? Get well soon, P. Will, for the next team. That is hilarious. Billy lost this game at the end of the second. He put Herter knowing he can't shoot, but because he was a vet, he got put in over Dalen and Julian once again, hampering their development. No, we lost this game way before then. This game was lost way before then. But, you know, it is what it is. Like when you're talking about the Bulls and on their run, they got the lead down to 11, right? So, you know, I can't blame him putting Herter in there who only played 3 minutes in there as far as that being what took the game away. 3 minutes in the fourth, I mean, not overall in the game, so. I don't dislike Kobe White as a player. Love the guy, but can't live with the inconsistency. When he's on, he's on. But when he's off, he's useless. He can't run a 3-on-1 fast. Listen, I won't listen. As a Kobe White guy, I can't defend that shit. That fast break, where all he had to do was make a lead pass to Julian Phillips, and it would have been an easy dunk or a foul. And Kobe, like, it just, that was just disgusting. There's no excuse for that. No excuse for that. The Bulls have to lose to Philly and Toronto. It's a must. It's not a must. And just because you said that, they're going to end up winning. Philly telling everyone they're still in the hunt for the play-in, but showing everyone that they are useless as an ashtray on a motorbike. Here's the thing, right? Philly is just, I don't know what Philly's going to do. I dropped a video over on NBA Central yesterday talking about the fact that Philly needs to look to trade Joel Embiid. I've reached that point of it. I think that Philly has to look to trade Joel Embiid, especially when people are talking about and asking, like, well, should they shut him down for a year so he can fully heal his body? If you look at that man, as you say, the best thing for our team is to sit you down for a year, just trade him. Just trade his ass. Get the assets you can back, just trade him. Fuck, this Billy Donovan doesn't know how to call a timeout and kept on playing fast-paced team without thinking, shit, they don't know how to calm down. That is hilarious. Bulls have three trash players in the roster, Herter, Carter, and THT, and Herter is the worst. Yet he played for 18 minutes. What was Billy thinking, man? Is he really that dumb? I mean, he was probably thinking shooting. I mean, that's the only thing that I could think that Billy Donovan is looking at is shooting. But at this point, man, it is what it is, bro. It is what it is, man. Since Kobe been in that trade talk with Orlando, we've been playing like dog, playing like don't give a fuck, no lie. No, he's like two of his really good games came after that. Trey Jones sucks, and why is that Trey Jones doesn't suck? That's just wrong. That's just stupid and wrong. Now he doesn't average a lot, but that is like people, or you can always tell casual people because they're like, "Oh, he averages 8 points. That means he sucks." It's like, no, it's not. It's not that. Y'all need to relax on Kobe. Guys, a 20-point per game scorer, maybe like 23 at his peak. He had one bad game. It's the end of the world for fans. He's had two bad games. He had 5 good games within 2 bad games before that. And Kobe White has never been consistently a 20-point per game scorer. Find the season that he averaged 20 points. So, I mean, I get what you're saying. And like I said, I'm a Kobe White guy. Like, I like Kobe White. I think that if Kobe White can be consistent, he is a damn good player. I think that he needs to get to the free throw line, and the inconsistencies really do kill Kobe. Now, I also think that this year has forced him to be more of a jump shooter, and that's not really his game. But let's not act like Kobe is something that he's not yet. Now, could I see him blossoming that on another team? Yeah, for sure. And that's probably why the Bulls are going to keep him, right? Giddey should be playing 35 a game and stop pulling him in and out of the lineups. No, like very few players average 35 minutes a game. Very few players average 35. So no, he shouldn't be averaging 35 minutes a game. He's too much of a defensive liability to play 35 minutes a game. I'm sorry, but he can't. Damn, Haize, I wish we had a player like Kate. I mean, yeah, young all-star player for sure. Absolutely. 19 and 88 over the last 2 games from 3. Incredible. That's bananas, bro. That's bananas. Man, this team is so clunky. Too much guards are screwing up the offense, and they live and die by the 3. It's hard to watch. Yeah, but here's the thing. I don't even think that too many guards are screwing up the offense because we don't run any half-court offense. So I think that that's going to be something that always limits the team because Billy Donovan in the half-court relies on isolation players. And since when you don't have those really efficient isolation players, Billy Donovan's offense kind of falls apart. There. Salute to y'all. Nothing but respect. Shout out to you, Don. Like, listen. Hey, listen. We competed today. Y'all just a better team. The Detroit Pistons are a better team than the Chicago Bulls. That just is what it is. I don't understand how this has been going on since last year and why no vet or coaching staff will help Kobe White on those 3-on-1 fast breaks because this is stuff you learn in high school. Well, we can't say he like players do have autonomy, right? There could be, for all we know, coaches could be telling him to do the right thing. But when he's out there, he's just defaulting to whatever comes natural and it's fucking shit up. That's just what could be happening out there. Why does AK this week successfully landed at the deep plane, bro? He said that bro, listen. I'm all for Hooked on Phonics, bro. That please rewrite that, bro. And I don't even mean to talk about you, Staxy. That whole first over. What the hell is that, bro? What the hell is that? That's Shay's levels of typing there, bro. You just gave me a headache, bro. You just gave me an aneurysm. That's what just happened there. I'm literally surviving an aneurysm right now. At one point, the Pistons blew by the Bulls players like 4 or 5 times for easy points, and Billy just sat there, coached them up, or changed up the defensive alignment. Yes. Bro, listen, you're asking things that every coach should be asking, but it is what it is, man. Haize, do you think Kobe affect his playing style when Levine left the roster? I mean, no, because he's still playing the same style. It's mainly because he has to play a certain way playing next to Josh Giddey. So, it's that part of it. You know the drill, man. There's always going to be a fall guy, and one individual will harness all of the blame for a 2-3 game period. That's a big fact. Trey Jones has no place on this team. He was a third leading scorer, and that was one of the few players with a positive plus minus. What are you talking about, Ant? Like, see, this is where you got to actually watch the basketball, bro. Like, what are we talking about? I don't like Giddey's play style. It's predictable. He does the behind the back dribble whenever bullshit turns it over quite a bit and drives a lot of misses a lot. Man, he got to fix that broke ass shot. I mean, listen, Josh Giddey's best attributes are not scoring. Now, he can score some, right? Like we saw tonight, but his best attributes are creating open shots. Now, that doesn't always lead to assists, but if you look at creating open shots, Josh Giddey's still towards the top of the league in open shots generated. But I think it's still a thing, like, we don't have necessarily the roster that really fits his style all the way either. Like, that's another thing that's a problem with this team. Like when people say, like, players don't fit, right now, nothing on this roster fits. There's not really much that fits on this roster. It just doesn't. And, we were able to kind of overcome some of that, of course, when we had DeMar and when we had Zach and those type of players. But overall, like, now that you're missing those players, it puts an even bigger highlight on it. Haize, are you worried if BD sticks around that players like Kobe, Io, Giddey, and Modest will leave in upcoming years and blossom elsewhere? Well, Modest Busilis, we got him locked in for quite a while, right? Giddey, restricted free agency as well. Kobe and Io are the questions there. But here's the thing. Kobe White loves Billy Donovan. He talks glowingly about it. And I know people are going to say, like, what is he going to say? He's going to kill his coach? No, he can say nothing. I'm talking about, if you watch some of the interviews, the way that Kobe White talks about Billy Donovan, when people don't even necessarily bring up Billy Donovan, I think that it's some genuine thing there. And maybe there's just a mutual respect there, right? That he just has respect for the person that's his head coach. But listen, the thing that I always say is that once somebody gets to free agency, all it takes is one team to get in their ear. All it takes is one team to get in their agent's ear. Like, hey, we can get better for Kobe over here, right? We can get better for Kobe over here. So I think that's the thing you got to look at, man. I've been wanting Vooch traded since Pat Bev checked him on the help defense. Now that he's the leader of the team, he's looking even worse now. What are you talking about? He looked way better this game. Like the last 2 games I'll give you, but Vooch looked like Vooch today. Build around Io, Modest, and possibly Phillips. Bring in 2 to 3 productive vets. Those aren't players you can build around yet. Io's not the type of player that you can build around. He's a player that absolutely is a key cog for your team, but he's not somebody you can build around yet, right? And mainly because he can fit in on any team. Like, Io's the one player on this team that can fit in on really any team in any play style, but that doesn't mean you can build around them. Modest could develop into that player. We got a lot left to be seen before we can say that for sure. And Julian, we just need Julian to play consistent minutes. Now, if Patrick Williams is out for an extended period of time, this is going to be Julian Phillips' opportunity to really show what he can bring and maybe get back into that rotation a little bit more. The answer is, when will Kobe be consistent? Unlike Io, if his offense isn't there, he can play defense. Kobe is useless when his offense isn't there. I don't think that Josh and Kobe can coexist. That's a point. That's a point. Like, having a backcourt of 2 very, very bad defenders. I mean, yeah. Big bro, the more I watch these prospects, the more I feel like I would rather have Ace Bailey over Cooper Flagg. Ace would be perfect for us. Dylan Harper is the truth, too. I mean, listen, a lot of people think that. There's a lot of people that do have the thought process that maybe there are better prospects than Cooper Flagg. And that's why I always say to people, like, I'm like, oh, it's a Cooper Flagg or bust draft. And I'm like, no, it's not. No, it's not. Like, that's not the case here. Like, of course, Cooper, there's always going to be a a prize, a player that people look as the prize in a draft, but like it's not Cooper or bust in this draft. There are some really, really good talents in this draft. And that's why it is important that the Bulls do have their pick out right now in this draft, which, the way things are going, looks like we weren't going to have any problem keeping it. But, that's why those things are what they are, man. Thoughts on the lineup the rest of the year: 1 Biggie Bagel, 2 Cuppy Coffee, 3 Benny the Bull, Modest Bucilis, 1 of the Lovable Girls. That is, no, you got to bring back Tony Bradley for that lineup. I think you got to bring that back. Haize, what even was AK's vision when he traded for DeMar, Zoe, and Vooch, etc.? Anyways, even basic projection, the team was a second-round team at most, and Paul would never develop with those aging veterans there. Well, here's the thing. That was the vision, because you got to keep in mind, if that team would have stayed healthy, right, instead of going out and getting Pat Bev, instead of going out and getting Goran Dragic, instead of going out, we probably would have got Andre Drummond, right? That team would have been able to use your assets, whereas you had to use assets for 2 straight years to try to replace what Lonzo brought. You would have been able to use those to bring in something that could fix the holes that team had, right? So, I think if that team, like if Lonzo would have never went down, and let's say you do add Andre Drummond one offseason, Torrey Craig the opposite offseason of that, I think that team, that's a team, if everybody stayed fully healthy, that is a team that is competing to try to see what they can do in the East, right? But that was the vision, right? You got to first build something and see, all right, bet this is what we're lacking. Let's see if we can go out and get that. But instead of being able to do that, they had to say, now we got to go out and replace what Lonzo brought, right? So that was the vision. And that's why I think that he gave up the first round picks that he gave up. I don't know how far that team would have ever made it, but that was the vision when it came down to it. And as far as P. Will developing, listen, I disagree. I think P. Will didn't develop because of his mindset. I don't think, that's just my personal opinion. I don't think that the makeup of this roster is necessarily what helped. Because this is my thought process on basketball, right? When everybody's like, well, if he got 15 more shots, he'd average 15 points. And it's like, yeah, but when is a player that's done that? If you can't learn to develop within the framework of a winning team, whenever has somebody that developed only, that's Christian Wood, right? Christian Wood was a player that put up great numbers because he was on a team that lost James Harden, and him and John Wall were just giving up whatever shots they wanted to. What has he done after that? Nothing. So when you have to, when people make the conversation, it was like, oh, well, they would have developed if all the shots had to go to them. All right, yeah, but then when you actually have to build a team around that, right? When you actually have to put them on a team that has a formula and a team that's trying to win basketball, sometimes that doesn't work out. Now, sometimes it does, but sometimes it doesn't. So I think P. Will was always going to be who P. Will was. That just is what it is. I just think P. Will is who P. Will is always going to be. And that means that they got a role player at number 4 overall. That just is what it is. Piston fans here, the Bulls have a lot of, yes, we have a lot of guards. We are very aware of that. Very aware of that. I'm saving for a new team, Josh Giddey jersey, just in case. That is hilarious. Why are people so upset? Have you guys ever heard of the rebuild in new direction? Yeah, we're going to struggle in the recent future. That's the point. There you go. There you go. I'm dead. Kobe was asked about playing during the post-game interview. He laughed and said, we ain't getting there playing like this. Shout out to the honesty. Thank you for your honesty. Yeah, that's crazy. Pistons draft well. All the Detroit teams do, actually. I agree, man. Trey Jones. Do you mean Trey Johnson in the draft, or are you talking about Trey Jones on the team? KJ, Igor Dimon, Kaman Malowik, man, this draft class is exactly. Like a guy like KJ would have literally been probably in the top 5 of last year's draft, and he's going to probably go between 8 and 12 in this draft, right? So it is what it is, man. Torrey Craig is with the Celtics. Yes, he is. You have 2 guards who are bad defenders and a center with no defensive presence. When those 3 are your starters, you know you're effed up defensively. Sydney says, I hope the Bulls fans riot like we are the Mavs. Hopefully, it'll allow the front office to come to their senses. Do you also think we'll find a superstar talent within the next few years? I mean, I only view it as you only got about 5 actual superstars in the league. So I will never predict superstar. Let's get good players and then see if those good players can turn into stars, right? That's the way that I look at it. Bro, the Bulls take no accountability, bro. All Billy Donovan says is, man, this is embarrassing. This can't happen. Move on with his day. No yelling, bro. I mean, yelling doesn't necessarily get results either. Like, there are a lot of coaches that yell that their team still suck. I'm just saying. I guess that makes sense. I just think that in this NBA, you need 1 or 2 superstars to compete for a chip. And that team didn't have one superstar. I felt like the youth dev would have been their best. Listen, and I don't disagree with you there. I think that what AK said, right? Because keep in mind, and I think I titled the video this. The Bulls basically took a 4-year detour and then wound up in the same spot that we were with less assets and more frustration, right? Like when AK took over and he said, we're going to develop, we're going to build through the draft, and we're going to do this thing, the right way. And then 5 months later, he traded for a 30-year-old center, right? And gave up first-round picks to do so. So I think that when you look at it, like this Bulls team was hovering around the same record that we are now. And it took a 4-year detour where we won some more games than what we would have had, but we wound up in the same place that we were with fewer assets and more frustration. And that's just the reality of it. It's just the reality of it. You're right, Trey Johnson, my bad. You're fine, bro. You're fine. I think I did that when I talked about him earlier, too. Like, now that we have Trey Jones on this team, it's definitely going to fuck me up. Like, when I do my draft videos, I already know I'm going to say it a couple of times. Same thing every loss, post-game interview, got to watch film and shoot better on to the next. I mean, listen, at this point, like, let's just be real here. I get it. We're all fans. We all want to see better for our team, all that, right? But that's going to be the modus operandi for this team for the remainder of the season. Like nothing's going to change this year, right? You're not going to win a lot more games. It's going to be a struggle the remaining way of the season. It just is what it is. We got 27 games left. Out of those 27 games, we're probably going to win 7 of them. I would not be surprised at all. If this Bulls team finishes with 30 wins, I may be a little shocked with the way they're playing, especially if we just lost P. Will. Not to say that P. Will was like hugely important in winning or anything, but that just, I mean, it takes away some depth, but it does open up opportunities for like Julian Phillips and XYZ. Yo, Haize, maybe I'm reading way too much into the situation, but there seems to be some tension and hesitation with Buzelis giving Modest a long leash of playing time. He ain't going to develop with little time. I mean, can you really say 26 minutes is little time? I don't think so, right? So I think he's getting minutes that he needs to develop. Now, I would love to see Modest be out there just getting 30 minutes every single night, right? Because I think Modest has the type of mindset that the more you throw at him, the bigger opportunity it's going to get for him to grow on the fly. I really believe that. But, it is what it is, man. Getting rid of Levine, right move, but re-signing Lonzo and giving up first-round picks and re-signing P. Will to $90 million, both terrible moves. But no, I think the Lonzo, listen, you didn't give up a first-round pick. You just didn't take one. That's very different, right? You never had it to give up. But I think the Lonzo thing, like I said, as long as Lonzo can be healthy, I think that same value is going to be there potentially in the offseason or next year at the trade deadline. I think. I could be wrong on that, especially if Lonzo continues not playing now. He's not out now because of injury, which is good. He's out because he's sick. He has the flu. So that's a different thing, right? But if Lonzo stays on the court, continues playing the way that he's playing, I think his value is going to be fine where they can still get that. You're the nail on the head, Haize. P. Will doesn't develop because of his mindset. Asur doesn't get plays called for him either, but he goes out there and makes things happen like we saw tonight. That's a great point. That's a great point. Hoodie, you sick? Thank you, brother. Thank you. I appreciate that. THC and Smith. Taylor Horton Tucker is terrible. He doesn't deserve minutes either. THC is terrible. Like, he had that hot first 2 weeks of the season, whatever. He's been objectively shit since then. So, it is what it is. The problem is the playing time is sporadic as hell. It's becoming more consistent, right? Like last night's game was like the albatross there recently for Modest Buzelis. Like you look at it, the month of February is averaging 26.8 minutes. last night's game, not this night, last night's game was the first game in 9 games that he didn't have over 20 minutes. So I think it's getting a lot more consistent for him, and I think it's going to be more consistent for him the rest of the way. But yeah, at least that's my thought, bro. That's what I hope, at least, right? If the Bulls draft a guard, do you think they re-sign Giddey? Depends what position that guard plays. I think that if the Bulls, and I've said this before, if the Bulls draft a point guard, probably not, right? I think that at that point, they may look to sign and trade Josh Giddey, much like they did Lauri Markkanen. If they draft a shooting guard, then I think that they may bring in that shooting guard. I think that shooting guard might start the season off the bench, and then we could see Kobe traded, for example, or Io traded by the trade deadline. So it just depends on what position that guard plays. When the going gets tough, the tough get going. Let's see who is tough and who is not. Don't forget that THC has the makings of a superstar, and someone said a few weeks back, bro. No, when somebody said THC can get to the basket at will, I'm like, what? You think it's possible that Portland pick could convey? No, let me be clear here. Portland has to make the playoffs, not the play-in. They have to make the playoffs, meaning that they would have to sneak by as the 8 seed for us to get that pick. There's no way in hell that's happening. We're not getting that pick. We're not getting that pick. That means that the Portland Trailblazers, who right now are the 13th seed, would have to not only make it in the play-in, right? They're still 4.5 games back of that final play-in spot. So they'd have to get into that play-in spot, and then they'd have to win the play-in tournament to then make it into the actual playoffs. We're not getting that pick. We're not getting that pick. It's sad when you think about going back to 2015. The Bulls only had 3.5 months of good basketball, 2021 in almost a decade. I don't count the Dwayne Wade years because that was also frustrating. Yeah, man. Would you re-sign Zach Collins as a viable backup? No. I think that you can look at some other things. But remember, Zach Collins' contract isn't up until the end of next season. So he's here for next year unless you move him. But at that point, no, I look at some other younger options or something like that, personally. Besides Modest, the Bulls have no explosive players. I think Io has some explosion, right? But I mean, let me be clear. Like, explosion doesn't equal like the Lob City Clippers had nothing but explosion. What did they really win, right? Like, so all that is fine and dandy for fun, but not necessarily fine and dandy for winning basketball, right? Shout out to VL. Glad to have you in the building. I'm really intrigued by Asa Newell's game. With more games, listen, I love Asa Newell. You put Asa Newell on a team with Modest Bucilis, listen, I'm there for that development. I want to watch that development. That would be a fun squad to watch develop together, man. Portland were balling, but they're starting to lose again now. Exactly. Like, they lost 2 in a row. Now coming back down to earth. So yeah, no, I don't think we get that Portland pick. But all right, y'all. I appreciate y'all for tuning in, man. I got to get ready to go do Locked On Bulls. Make sure you guys are following us at Bulls Central Pod. Send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns. BullsCentralPod@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We're the number spot for everything Chicago Bulls related, but that's thanks to beautiful people. And like we like to end every episode on, go Bulls. Love you guys. See red if you can, y'all. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.